again. This is Robert Brighton. Welcome back to your video course. And today I would like to talk about an old Latin motto, Festina Lente. Isn't that nice? That sounds almost like a kind of a pasta dish, doesn't it? I might have a little more of that Festina Lente, if you don't mind, my good man. But that's not what it means. It means make haste slowly, which has the advantage of being a paradox and thus a curious thing that makes us want to learn more. But it's actually a really good principle for you to apply in your writing. So make haste slowly, or some might say more haste, less speed. What this means is we all have a tendency, especially when we get on a tear with something, we get excited. We all have a tendency to want to go fast and get it done, get the words out on paper, get the book finished, get the book published, get some reviews, all that sort of stuff. I'll tell you, when you get into the writing game like that, or let's take nonfiction for a second. I mean, I go back to fiction because that's what I think about most of the time. But think about nonfiction. I did this a lot. If I had to give a presentation and I really prepared for it, I could sort of hardly wait to give the presentation. I wanted to get up there and do it. But a lot of mistakes happen if you hurry. Either hurrying to complete a particular piece of writing, or hurrying the reader along, or hurrying yourself as a speaker along. There is nothing more powerful, in my opinion, than silence, pauses, time for contemplation. And in fact, if you pause before you say your next phrase, people tend to think that you're thinking. And oftentimes you are, but even if you're not, you want to give people that impression that you're thinking, you're being thoughtful, you're not hurrying, you're not rushing. You're in control of the pace, whether as a speaker or as a writer. Remember, you're in control of the pace. You decide how quickly you want your readers or your listeners to hear these words and where you should speed up and slow down. But in general, this motto of Festina Lente has a lot to do with your composition. And that is, when you're composing your words, you get a draft done, you look at it, maybe you're excited about it. That's great. That's a good feeling. But I tell you, I've made this mistake myself 1,000 times, that, I fall in love with something that I've written, and then, I think it's good and I think it's done. And a month or two later, I go back over it and I'm like, wow, this needs work. And the reason it needed work is because I kind of rushed through it. I was excited about it, I got it down on paper, and then I moved on. And unfortunately, oftentimes that's not our best work when we do it that way. What I'm here to suggest instead is that you take your time with the first draft, you write it down, but then don't hurry to the editing and publication stage with your editor or with your publisher. Take some time to read, reread, and mostly polish and polish and polish. And even when you think it's been polished enough, polish it some more. You will actually end up with a much better product if you take your time with it and you give the reader or the listener time to absorb what it is you're saying. So make haste slowly. Now, if slowly is the key thing, why would I even say make haste? Well, here's the reason. And this is something I learned in business. I had a career in business long before I decided to turn to writing full time. By the way, I'm really glad I turned to writing full time. Business was good, in a way, but it wasn't fulfilling to me in the way that writing is. But something I did learn, well, I learned a lot, but one of the things I learned that stuck with me over the years is momentum is the key to almost all success. If a negotiation gets hung up, and days pass or weeks pass and people get back together and start a negotiation again, usually that negotiation goes nowhere. If you're launching a new product and you have problem after problem and the launch is delayed and then there's a screw up after the launch and the product doesn't work as it's supposed to and you got to, fix it and put it back out there, that's terrible. And those are both examples of more haste and less speed. So what I'm saying is you want to balance off momentum, which is working steadily toward an objective, and speed, which is just trying to get something done quickly. They're two different things. So I say slow down, but work steadily. So that's the make haste part, work steadily, keep working, keep pounding away at it. But then the slowly part is give yourself time to get it right, and then polish, refine, and so on until it really represents your best work. So remember, more haste equals less speed, because you're just going to go back and have to fix it. You won't like the result if anywhere near as much than if you'd just taken your time with it. So I hope that's helpful. Remember, Festina Lente.